If I could only pick one creative director as the best among all the fashion designers and crown him the man of my fashion life, who would it be and why? What about you? Who would you pick? In this video, I'm about to put some of the biggest names in fashion to the test, one face-up at a time, until I end up with the one who I believe is constantly delivering creativity. So, if you love fashion, this is going to be a lot of fun. And if you are into creativity in general, you might find this video pretty informative. So, grab your favorite in mind and play along with me. Hello everyone, this is Vision and Passion, and I am the celebrator of creativity. And this is my very first video. So, let's have a good time together. Alright, let's jump in. First round, we have Marc Jacobs versus Michael Kors. Who would you choose? This one's easy for me. Both Marc Jacobs and Michael Kors are huge names and major forces on the New York Fashion Week calendar. But I'm going with Marc Jacobs, and here is why. I think he's more daring, rebellious. He plays outside the box, yet keeps it commercial and relevant. And for me, the Fall 2021 collection is a great example of that. The collection was also a turning point and a marked shift in his career, where he started doing even more adventurous collections, and he has kept that same energy alive in every collection since. I'm talking about sculptural silhouettes, the contemporary playful approach, and the blending of artistry with the commercial appeal. So the first round goes to Marc Jacobs. Next up, Marc Jacobs or Simon Jacquemus. For me, it's definitely Jacquemus. The Mediterranean-inspired aesthetic, the bold proportions, the clean lines mixed with playful elements, the immersive runway shows, the storytelling, the consistency across the collections, the vibe that is always delivered, and the way he stays true to the brand's identity, it's all spot on. He simply creates a whole world you want to be part of. So Simon Jacquemus takes this win. Next, Simon Jacquemus versus Kim Jones. Kim has signed some interesting collections at Louis Vuitton, Dior Man, and Fendi. Let's also not forget he had even did Fendi Haute Couture, which is a big deal, especially for someone whose main power is blending the streetwear and luxury tailoring. But still, for me, this round goes to Simon Jacquemus. Next up, Simon Jacquemus versus Raf Simons. Raf has an interesting resume: Gilles Sander, Christian Dior, Calvin Klein, and of course Prada, working alongside the iconic Miuccia Prada herself. So he delivered some moments. To be honest, and this might sound a little unfair, but I have very small amount of favorite Raf Simons moments. One of them, the Adidas collaboration, the Oswego sneakers, especially the one with the chrome metallic sole. For me, that was an interesting design. It was able to stand out in the 2019 Chunky Sneakers battle, but for some reasons, they didn't look good on me. So what else? I also enjoyed some of his Dior Haute Couture pieces, like the striking yellow gown from the Spring 2013 collection. It gives futuristic / dramatic, also shows the couture tailoring the skills. It is modern, forward-thinking, confident. It is a great look. Also, some of the Dior shoes were eye-catching. My favorites, for example, from the Spring 2014 and Fall 2015. They had character, modernity, and edge. However, overall, when you were walking into a Dior store during his time, you were expecting more. I remember being in Paris, visiting Dior, and honestly, it didn't impress me. Now, at Prada, look, I'm not sure about the impact he is having on Prada. I don't know backstage who is doing what, but if we do a comparison, what Miuccia is doing at Miu Miu, where the brand is clearly evolving and hitting new milestones, at Prada, Raf's contribution isn't really pushing the brand's boundaries into new dimensions. Do you agree with me? Let me know if not. I mean, Prada was good before, and it's still good now. There is no upgrade happening. So I'm still picking Jacquemus. Next up, Simon Jacquemus versus Dion Lee. Daniel is the current creative director at Burberry, and before that, he was actually the one who transformed Bottega Veneta, which, to be fair, is an achievement. I've personally heard from some internal sources that he wasn't always the ideal team member, but at the end, we are all human and everyone has room to learn, grow, and improve. I'm sure someone as talented as Dion Lee is working on developing every aspect of his leadership. His appointment at Burberry still feels promising, and we are all hoping that the brand can start moving forward with small but affirmative steps. And this round goes to Simon Jacquemus. Next we have Simon Jacquemus versus Haider Ackermann. Oh, this one is not easy. Haider has a very artistic approach to fashion. My favorite collections from his own brand are the Spring 2020 and the Spring 2018, where you can clearly see his ability to create avant-garde pieces with a strong sense of elegance, modern tailoring combined with draping techniques, and a smart, innovative use of bold, striking colors. Also, we have seen when he was a guest designer for Jean-Paul Gaultier, the collection was beautiful, showcasing the great balance of high fashion drama and chic minimalism. Now, he is the creative director at Tom Ford, where he was personally selected by Tom Ford himself. And his debut Fall 2025 collection was impressive, to say the least. It was dedicated to building a bridge between Tom Ford's past legacy and the future. So we are looking forward to seeing more from him. Now, who should I pick? I know I should pick Haider Ackermann, but I can't believe I'm going to say this. I'm still picking Jacquemus. He's such an amazing storyteller, and the entire brand just made sense because all its elements come together perfectly. So let's see who can eventually win over Jacquemus. Next we have Simon Jacquemus versus Anthony Vaccarello. Okay, so Vaccarello is the creative director at Saint Laurent. I admired his early Saint Laurent collections. The architectural shapes, the blend of ideas, the intelligent sex appeal. It was very contemporary and sensual, very similar to the vibe of his own brand from 2008 to 2016, which was one of my personal favorites. He also had an interesting 2 years, I think, at Versace. However, recently at Saint Laurent, he is toning things down a lot. I know he's focusing more on delivering an atmosphere, highlighting the brand's heritage, modernizing the identity, all of that. But some of the collections became mainly few outfits, each one showcased in multiple colors, sometimes more than 10. Like for example, the Spring 2025 collection, where there was this exact outfit in 13 different colors. Also in the same show, an oversized suit was worked by 22 models, again, just in different colors. It just feels not motivated enough whatsoever. It's definitely a talent to keep a brand relevant and handle the pressure all designers face in balancing creativity with the commercial side. So, obviously, whatever he is doing is working, as the revenues are reflecting strong growth, and the company has opened over 50 new stores in the last couple of years. So he's doing a good job. But for me, Jacquemus still delivers the full package. So Jacquemus again. Next, we have Simon Jacquemus versus Jonathan Anderson. I love the creativity of Jonathan Anderson. His career is full of iconic pieces and unforgettable moments. His work at both his own brand, J.W. Anderson, and at Loewe was exceptional. You can see how he is merging different crafts with fashion, collaborating with different artists, sprinkling a little bit of conceptual surrealism here and there, applying humor, creating optical illusions, and serving endless creativity. So he definitely is doing a lot. I mean, a lot of good things. So now he is the creative director at Dior, covering men, women, and couture, which means the brand's main creative vision is now united under a single designer for the first time in nearly 7 decades. That said, his first men's show at Dior wasn't really my cup of tea. You know, sometimes hype can lead to overestimating and expectations can be hard to match. But there is still a lot to discover. And I'm sure he is going to surprise us. So I'm excited to see what comes next. But for now, even though I know I should pick Jonathan Anderson, I will pick Simon Jacquemus. You know, we can play this game again after a while and see how things change. I just want to see a little bit more of his work at Dior before, anyway. Next we have Simon Jacquemus versus Dion Lee. Oh, here we go. Here we go. I think it's time to say goodbye to Jacquemus. I don't know. Let's see. I will explain. Look, Dion Lee excites me. He is such a fresh voice, expressing young, contemporary minds. His work is sensual, creative, has an urban feel, wearable, funny, and flirty. And I love flirty fashion. I'm saying it. I love flirty fashion. So, he's an Australian designer who had no stores outside of Australia. And when he opened his very first flagship store in the US, in Miami, it was a major moment. Let me tell you this. It was December 2023. At that time, I was in Miami, in the design district, walking around, window shopping. I saw a store being renovated. Of course, my curiosity led me to check which brand is coming to the area. And that's when I discovered it's Dion Lee. I couldn't believe my eyes. Seeing one of my favorite upcoming designers achieve that and open his own store in the design district of Miami, that completely blew my mind. So once the store was officially open, I went back and I remember falling in love with each and every piece. Yeah. You know what? To be fair, let me do this comparison. When Jacquemus opened his first boutique in the US, that was in Soho, New York City, 2024. At that time, I was in New York City. And I went there the very first day. The collection was great. I would definitely have picked 5, 6, maybe 7 pieces. But compared to my Dion Lee experience, where I would take half the store, I think this comparison shows me who I prefer more. and that's enough reason for me to pick Dion Lee. So it's Dion Lee. Finally, we have a new name, and I don't have to say Jacquemus again with my beautiful accent. Next, we have Dion Lee versus Laquan Smith. I see what's happening here. You were like, oh, you love flirty fashion? Then take flirty fashion. Look, I like Laquan. The first thing I notice when I see his work is actually the passion. You know, there's a lot of passion. And also the high energy, the power, the magnetism, and obviously Julia Fox. I also appreciate that there is a strong commercial sense along with all that flirtation. The thing is, I wish he could push the creative envelope further and further instead of raising the slits of the skirts higher and higher. I'm just kidding. Yeah, I still have a lot of respect for Laquan Smith. But my winner is Dion Lee. Actually, concerning Dion Lee, I want to add one more thing. I really hope he can overcome the challenging times he's going through and make a strong comeback soon. Dion Lee, we love you and we are waiting for the comeback. Next, we have Dion Lee versus Ludovic de Saint-Sernin. Ludovic, another fresh name standing out and making a strong presence in those busy Fashion Week calendars. I appreciate the way he tones down creative ego to complement commerciality. I got that. That's smart. Now, the spring 2025 Jean Paul Gaultier guest collection was carrying some interesting corsetry, latex, and romantic/dramatic pieces. Was it a great collection? What do you think? Personally, I would love to see him experiment a bit more and explore a wider range of ideas, so I'm still picking Dion Lee. Next round, we have Dion Lee versus David Koma. Oh, so with David Koma, we have a long story of mutual admiration. I love his work loves me back. That's how I believe it is. It's a happy story. When he announced he was taking over as creative director at Blue Marine, I was really excited. You know, I used to love what the previous creative director, Nicolas Ghesquière, was doing at Blue Marine from 2019 to 2023. So I was expecting David Koma to build on that success or bring that extra magic. So far, it hasn't fully manifested that way. Hopefully soon. But I can't deny my long-term love for David Koma as a brand. So at this round, I'm going with David Koma. Next, we have David Koma or Christopher Esper. Okay, Christopher Esper, another sophisticated Australian talent. He is the one who delivers when it comes to cutouts. So, if you are like me and into cutouts, especially in abstract shapes mixed with metallic details and stones, then you are definitely enjoying his work too. I think Australians are doing well at this game of taking the spot of being my man in fashion. So I'm going with Christopher Esper. Next up, we have Christopher Esper or Jonathan Simkhai. You know what? I'm going to keep this one very short. I'm picking Jonathan Simkhai. That's it. Next up, Jonathan Simkhai versus Fausto Puglisi. Fausto is the creative director at Roberto Cavalli, and he's doing an incredible job. It's not an easy task to take on a brand with such a strong identity and spicy DNA, because it could easily turn chaotic if not handled well. But under his guidance, Cavalli is moving in a fantastic direction. I have admired Fausto since the early days when he ran his own brand. He was shaping pop culture moments from J-Lo to Madonna and many others. Now, why I think he has a very distinctive vision? Because he masters everything. Prints, patterns, textures, colors, gradients, embroidery, embellishments, proportions, storytelling, accessories, working with leather, and more, That's why, for this round, my winner is Fausto Puglisi. Next up, Fausto Puglisi versus Peter Moulier. Moulier, the creative director of Alaya, is a true artist. He keeps fashion relevant while maintaining that sense of mystery and sophistication. You can notice in his collections how he celebrates the core craftsmanship and techniques of Alaya's atelier. And as a result, his work feels like something worth treasuring. It feels like art that you can actually buy and wear. You can clearly see how he is placing fashion in a direct dialogue with ambitious art. And that's why, for this round, I'm going with Peter Moulier. It's interesting how, at this point, the winner keeps changing from round to round. But that's the beauty of this challenge, guys, let me know, who are you picking over the other? Next up, Peter Moulier or Matthieu Blazy. Matthiu Blazy is the darling of the fashion industry. If you don't know that, I'm telling you that, okay? I really admired his journey at Bottega Veneta. The way he worked with leather and other materials felt like a fantasy. And also, every collection he touched was packed with ideas and innovations. That's why I think the big fashion houses were fighting over who would get him, and Chanel ended up winning. So I really hope he can bring something to Chanel that we have never seen before. For this round, my pick is Matthieu Blazy. Next, we have Matthieu Blazy versus Nicolas Ghesquière. No doubt, Nicolas Ghesquière is the strong, established name in fashion who shaped important eras of brands like Balenciaga and Louis Vuitton. But for me, this round still goes to Matthieu Blazy. So it's Matthieu Blazy. Next, Matthieu Blazy versus Maximilian Davis. Maximilian Davis at Ferragamo is truly one of the most promising designers of our time. I love how each season he gives us a full wardrobe of wearable pieces anchored by few masterpieces that deliver those wow moments we all wait for. And I love how they always use those masterpieces on store displays because, when you are walking down the street, it's always nice to see them showcased on mannequins. I only wish in each collection those wow moments come a bit more often. Maximilian, please be more generous with us. That's why for now I'm still picking Matthieu Blazy. Next, Matthieu Blazy versus Olivier Rousteing. Wow, now this is big. There is a lot of volume here. Matthieu Blazy might be the darling of the fashion industry, but Olivier Rousteing is edging towards legendary status. His journey with Balmain has gone through phases, yes, and some of the choices for the commercial pieces could have been sharper, yeah. But when it comes to pure fashion, like fashion for fashion lovers, Olivier is the one. He started a successful career at a very young age, which makes me believe we will witness another era where he completely conquers our hearts again with his limitless imagination. So for this round, I'm going with Olivier Rousteing. Next, we have Olivier Roustan versus Daniel Roseberry. Hi! Okay, look, you can't do this to me. I don't think I could ever choose anyone over the one and only Daniel Roseberry. It's Daniel, no question. So, what is next? Next, we have Daniel Roseberry versus Alessandro Michele. Alessandro Michele is undeniably talented, okay? And no one doubts the revolution he brought to Gucci. It was epic. At Valentino, though, I feel he should have stepped in with a more updated strategy. Right now, I see Valentino looking very much like Valentino done by Alessandro. But what I want to see is the updated version of Alessandro's identity merged with Valentino's DNA. Although many people might be unhappy with him at Valentino, I remain optimistic. And I think this could lead to something even better. So time will tell, but for now, this round still goes to Daniel Roseberry. Next, Daniel Roseberry versus Pierpaolo Piccioli. Pierpaolo's signature growth happened before our eyes while he was shaping the modern Valentino across different eras. I have to admit, so many times he pushed me out of my comfort zone. It was not always easy to digest what he was offering, especially those early collections after pairing away with Maria Grazia Chiuri. His approach was kind of forcing me to see fashion from different perspectives. Anyway, my favorite collection of him is the Spring 2024. That collection is a treasure, like celebrating culture, celebrating artistry, and of course, celebrating women. And now, with him stepping into Balenciaga, I'm excited to see what he's going to do. But I'll stay loyal to my monogamous relationship in fashion. I'm staying with Daniel Roseberry. Next, we have Daniel Roseberry versus Demna. Demna is the revolutionary who shook fashion just when it was starting to feel like a calm body of water. I'm not saying he invented the wheel or came up with something new. No, actually that's exactly what I believe it was a thing, because he was able to make fantasy and create momentum by reviving the ordinary, the boring, even the ugly, and reframing them as high fashion. He created success with Vêtements, the brand he co-founded with his brother in 2014. He also found success at Balenciaga, where he thrived from 2015 to 2025, and now he's at Gucci, where the house is hoping he can turn things around and bring back strong sales. So I'm excited to see him at Gucci, but I hope he doesn't repeat Alessandro Michele's mistake at Valentino by bringing the same old formula under a new logo without any real evolution. For me, Daniel still wins. His consistency of delivering quality work is unmatched. Next, we have Daniel Roseberry versus Julian Dossena. This one feels unfair. I will tell you why. Because I truly believe Julian had the chance to do for Paco Rabanne what Daniel Roseberry did for Schiaparelli. But he wasn't able to find that sweet spot as fast as Daniel did. The first Rabanne collection that made the huge impact was the Fall 2023, where he was able to transform fantasy, dreams, nostalgia, and Paco Rabanne DNA to pieces working the catwalk. And for a brand that is trying to grow, that's an important element. You have to make the entire world pay attention to you, not just the fashion media. The spring 2024 collection was able to build and add on the momentum, and the brand was going viral. But then again, something just started missing. Maybe they need to work more on the styling. Maybe they should reconsider their choices of prints and layering. Maybe they should feel more confident with their vision. I don't know, I can't put my finger on it. Anyway, Rabanne is definitely getting a lot of attention. The revenues are strong, which is a good thing, but the brand deserves more. And please, let's not call it Rabanne. I mean, what is Rabanne? Paco Rabanne is such an iconic name. I think it should stay untouchable. So, still Danielle Roseberry takes this round. Now we have Danielle Roseberry versus Casey Cadwalder. Here is another reminder of how harsh this industry really is. I admired Casey's 7 years at Mugler. He achieved something huge by modernizing the brand, bringing it back into the commercial conversation, especially in ready-to-wear, and turning it into a cultural moment that resonated with the new generation. Mugler was conquering stages, pop culture, and social media. I was hopeful and believed we could go even further, maybe with the return of haute couture, having more commercial pieces like bags, shoes, or underwear. But then, one day, it was just over. There is not too much information out there, so I don't know exactly what happened. Hopefully, the new director can carry that momentum forward and give Mugler the success it deserves. So, keeping it real, this round still goes to Danielle Roseberry. Next, Danielle Roseberry versus Rick Owens. Rick Owens is a universe of his own. No doubt about it. Maybe in another video I will talk more about him. But for this round, I'm picking Danielle Roseberry because my connection with him is on a whole different level. Okay, look, I will explain what I mean by connection. Of course, I don't know him. I don't know Danielle Roseberry personally, or any of the other names. But sometimes you just believe in people and feel thrilled for their success as if they were someone close to you. Let me give you an example. The very first time Schiaparelli merchandise arrived in Los Angeles was November 2021 at a pop-up store inside Dover Street Market, which I've never been. At that time, I was living in LA, and I remember being extremely excited, like pinning the address on Google Maps, marking the date on my calendar, waiting for the launch day, heading downtown LA, searching for the location among the warehouses. I mean, if you know, you know. And then finally seeing the pieces, touching them, realizing that now people could actually buy and own them, that made me so happy. Look, when you are a creative person and you see another creative person succeed, you only get one feeling, which is pure happiness. And we are talking 2021. Back then, the brand wasn't commercially successful at the level it is now. But when I saw those items arrive in LA, combined with my understanding of Danielle's potential from following his work, I started to build a full picture in my mind that even bigger success was definitely waiting for him. It wasn't about wishing or fortune telling. I just was sure he deserves it, and life should be fair. So every time I see him succeeding more, it feels like a different kind of celebration for me. Because I'm not only celebrating his talent, but also my vision of where he should be. And above all, I'm celebrating how fair life can be. I will tell you another story. When I visited Dallas, Texas, which is the main beach city close to where Daniel was born and raised, I was walking through downtown Dallas. This is the first month of 2023, and I saw the windows of Neiman Marcus, a big part of them dedicated entirely to Schiaparelli. That's when I realized this is Dallas, the city connected to his childhood, and now his designs are on display in one of the most prestigious stores here. I started getting emotional, because it felt almost like a fairy tale. Of course, I entered the store. I went straight upstairs to the floor where Schiaparelli was displayed, and even from the distance, I saw that the very center of the floor was dedicated to Schiaparelli. I started taking pictures because in my mind, I was documenting a happy moment. I was documenting a big deal, a manifestation of someone's dream. And by someone, I mean a creative person. So being surrounded by those pieces, you feel like you are experiencing the dream. You are inside his dream. You are living in a reality that was once only a vision in his mind. That's why it's not just that I'm a fan of his work. It is more like I feel Daniel Roseberry is a friend I care about, and I truly want to see him succeed. Who knows, maybe one day we will actually be friends. So for now, for me, it's Daniel Roseberry again. Next, we have Daniel Roseberry versus Glenn Martens. Oh no. No, this is the end. This is the end of this video. We can't go any further. Look, because this matchup says it all. I've been saying this for maybe more than 5 years now. Glenn Martens is the best designer of our time. He should win awards every single year. Look, from Y Project to Diesel, to his spring 2022 couture collection for Jean Paul Gaultier, where he was invited as a guest designer, which in my opinion was the best collaboration Gaultier has ever had, to his work for Maison Margiela, Glenn has demonstrated his genius again and again, and always delivered, always. He is one of the very few designers who has proven that you can take on the most challenging houses and not just succeed, but excel. After John Galliano's legendary work at Maison Margiela, many thought it was impossible for anyone to follow. Yet, Glenn Martens delivered a collection that exceeded expectations and reminded everyone of what true creative mastery looks like. So, when you are as talented as Glenn Martens, and with the right people around you, with the right team, a strong vision, genuine passion, you can make a huge impact. You can create something unforgettable and leave a beautiful mark on the world. So, my final pick is Glenn Martens. What's yours? Let me know. Look, if you are still here and you made it this far, then you are probably enjoying hanging out with me. Do whatever you want to do, but please let me know what do you think, okay? Let me know in the comment section, and hopefully I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.